You know, that's for our T-post. All that is the end of a sledgehammer welded into a pipe. I fenced for an old guy one time back in the 80s and had them big handles on. He's telling me about a guy, I don't know if he knocked himself right out or if he got killed doing that, but that pounding that in, hit himself in the head with the handle.
I think this slide's nicer too. I think you can move a lot faster without handles.
And then the nice thing is when we throw it in our four-wheeler box there, it's not
taking up so much room.
Snagging up on stuff. And it's done every post on this farm.
So while we're fencing, my dad wants to show you his fencing box.
My first four-wheeler, I still have it. I've had it forever, and it's got some issues, so we took it in to get fixed. But that's got a wooden box. This year I had a guy make this. And the nice thing about this is, so we have all our small tools in here now. Everybody's seen how we are always so organized, but it's almost impossible. So when you're driving around these hills, everything in here is jumping. I had to make a thing here to hold a pail so I can have some of our small tools so you can actually find them. Because now this, you can kind of look at this. I got a log chain in here, along with all these little clips, and everything is entangled. It's like one huge beehive. But you know what the best part is? And then we got our clips for our electrics that we use later on this summer. But the best part is whatever's in this box, wherever we get, is still in the box. I've had where we put stuff in the front basket, put like a plier like this in there, or hammer, and then you get to where you're going and you didn't notice it jumped out. You're surprised all the stuff you could lose if you don't have this. So when we shut this, now we have these, they gave me these rubber clips. And then I put these little pieces of hose on here because it rattles so bad when you're driving along. My other one, I did this with a bungee strap. We just got a small hole there. And this ain't the one for this, but it was a shorter strap where we could hook it here. I think when these go bad, which they will, they're just rubber, I mean, over time. Anyway, this is the way to do it. It don't matter what's going on. We're checking heifers, and we had some wind the night before. There's like here, I come across this here cherry, and cherry are known to do this. It actually uprooted. And that's actually going to make, I think we're going to be able to saw that into something. But I thought, we're not dragging that out of there till it dries out later this summer. We're going to drag it out over there somewhere. Right now, it's in nobody's way. But we cut it off the fence. We're going to come here with the bobcat someday when it dries off, take this, put it on the wood pile. But anyway, so I come along, and there's a tree on the fence. Like, again, my other four-wheeler, I had a bigger basket in this. These guys made this one a little bit small. I used to be able to get the saw and the fuel and everything, but I don't leave home without it. So we got the saw on board, we got all the fencing, all the basic tools. Sometimes I'll just carry like a few pieces of wire in here to do a simple splice or something. And there's gloves in there, whatever. So anyway, like we're gonna do some fencing today. We're gonna leave a couple T-posts weaved into the fence, maybe up by the gate. So if we have a problem here later this summer, I don't have to go all the way back home for the material. I'm up here, I got my clips, staples, the hammer, pincher, chainsaw, whatever you're gonna need. I can fix it a few minutes, go back home and stay home, not come running back out here to correct it. So it's easier to stay ahead of everything. And then wire, I'll have like, when we started, we were moving fences. I ended up getting fence from a farm where a guy bought for hunting, and he had all the fence. He had us take all his fence out, so I ended up with a whole bunch of spools of wire like this. And a lot of it we put in. We didn't have a lot of money, so we used wire. But so then I'll have some of these smaller spools left. So like when we get done here, I'll hang this somewhere near a gate. There's a few of them on this farm ground. So again, if you need a piece of wire because of some storm damage, you don't have to run it. And this I don't like carrying with the four-wheeler because obviously it's kind of a snarly deal to do. So they're out here. My dad had one like this. And then once in a while you'd find these on an auction where the handles are broke off. This is from two different ones, but I've got them. I got newer ones. I've got several of them, but they're them big. I don't know. They're made out of some cast. I don't like them. These are the best ones. You guys can send back comments about any of you guys that do a little fencing, but I like this one. I don't know if you can buy these new anymore. I don't know if you've ever seen these anywhere. If somebody knows where you can buy these.
Yeah, let us know.
This style anyway. I like them. They're light and they're,
yeah. I know for me when it comes to hand tools, you want them light enough where they're easy to carry, but heavy enough where they don't, you know,
Fall apart.
they last for a while.
Well, it seems like, don't it seem like that though, in your shop? You got certain tools that, you know, even though you got a dozen different styles of wrenches and sockets, you got them same ones you're
always using.
Yeah, because it just happens to be handier, easier. Even the shovel. We got this one shovel's got this really, I think, what is it? Some kind of fiberglass handle. It's a heavy plastic anyway. I hate using it because it's as heavy as a sledgehammer. The handle's so heavy.
Yeah, but it's brand new, and it's probably gonna stay brand new for a long time because no one wants to use it.
Yep. So that's the one you'd like maybe leave behind the seat of the pickup or someplace where you just might need it, but you maybe never will have to hardly use it.
Yeah, or let the new guy use it.
Yeah. Give that one away, trying to be a nice guy.
Yeah, so that's the tool setup for the four-wheeler. That's the fencing tools. If you guys got any recommendations for tools, let us know. We're back down in the yard, and we thought we'd continue on with that tool conversation we were having up there and show you some of the contents of what's in that box. We talked a little bit about the shovel and the post hole digger, what we like about those.
Pounder. And these stretchers must be my 5th, 6th one. And they always seem to get, you know, you got these jaws in there that hold your wire in there. And that seems to get bent a little, and then they start letting the wire go. It's probably, you know, when you're fencing, this is probably the most dangerous part, when you're actually finally starting to stretch things, and then once in a while it slips through. So there's a better fencer. I seen one someplace in one of those fencing videos. I think it's something out west that's very common. And I don't know, I got a feeling if we try order one the way everything is today, we might have to wait till things settle down before we try to find something like that. But I'm sure that could be improved. These fencing pliers, I got more of these. I keep some of them in the tractors. There's one in the other four-wheeler. This is something that we found here a year or two ago. It's awful heavy and bulky, but what I don't like about it, you know, this one is so much lighter. It's almost better without the grip on it. I think they put that on there in case you're messing with like electric fence or something, but so you don't get, but then these get cracked up, you end up getting zapped anyway. But anyhow, very skinny, fits in places. So if they made this guy a little more like this one, and now I worked with the Amish once, they had one like this, but it was like twice as long. And the spike was longer, you know, the hammer end was bigger. You know, the pincher was a little sharper. It was just, I mean, you can put your wire in between here and pinch it. You know, and then there's your cutter where you'd put your wire in there and squeeze shut, it would cut it. But yeah, this one, and so what happens is you get behind your staple, you start wrapping on this end to get that hook behind the staple when you're undoing fencing. But pretty much your standard fencing pliers, but there's always something a little better out there.
Yeah, and I don't obviously fence as much as my dad has, but just even today I noticed a big difference using this bigger guy versus
then I handed him that guy, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's a world and day difference.
So sometimes that big, fat, aggressive tool, stronger and all hardier, isn't always
it might not be all it's cracked up to be.
We came here like 30 years ago. I always kind of enjoyed fencing, but it's so practical when you got cattle, because I've been in places where cattle are getting out, you're dealing with neighbors' cattle that get out, and I've had people drive in here and they take one quick look around, they go, wow, we can catch cattle here because you got some fence. But it just makes, it's like more secure, you just feel more secure. It's like a lock on your house, you know. It's just, and then this pouch, that's probably put every structure together on this farm, but now, I mean, so for fencing too, you know, and of course gloves, of course, so we always keep several pair in there. Some of these gloves that maybe, I even like the ones where they're already got holes in the fingers, because in the summertime they get so warm, but you're more or less, your palm is where you really want to protect. But yeah, so you can have your staple stuff, because the one thing is, like in the woods, there's always long grass, anything gets dropped. I know when I started I had two of these, and then for the longest time one was gone, and I didn't, you know, you go back to where you were fencing, you think you lost it in the leaves, and you just kind of gave up on even looking for it. And I think it was 10 years later, found it on top of a railroad tie up on the corner up on the hill. just happened to be looking for a cow or something, walking past, and it was still sitting there just so. A little rusty, but it's like, wow. You'd think it would have been gone forever. We put up miles and miles of fence here. I mean, when we came here, there was a lot of fence, and it was kind of just left go for a long time. You know, these guys are just thinking of retiring, and that's how it goes. But boy, every year we'd put up a couple, you know, half mile or something. I mean, we got good at it. They come out with that 2-point, and they come to a 4-point barbed wire. I think that's like a 12.5 gauge. Used to only be a few dollars more, and I don't know what it is today, but that was the way to go. And then we got into railroad ties. Good used railroad ties was, you could get semi-loads of those things. And actually the concept was pretty good because they're so heavy, you know, on side hills and dips, and we have so much of that where the fence is making a bend all the time to contour to the land. That is, but they will rot off eventually, nothing like the new ones, but the new ones were just so expensive. So I think you could really say in the last 10 years or so, we're just maintaining or replacing a post here and there. Like today, we were just kind of adjusting things a little bit there, making it better than it already was originally when I put it up 25 years ago.
So we showed you guys that new box in the woods, and now we wanted to show you the old box that he started off with.
My first four-wheeler was a Honda 400, and then we traded up to, I think it's 450, and that had the easy shift. The frame was just a little bit longer, had a little bigger wheels on, but the rack in the back, this back rack was the same on both of them. And then this basket, which I have a hard time even finding. We had to have a guy make one for our other four-wheeler. And all the metal's rotting out because we would take salt up to the cattle in this and bags their salt blocks, and eventually and that's, what is that, a 98, I think, 97 or 98 I bought my first four-wheeler. Yeah, and then I cut a hole here for the chainsaw bar to go through so I could stick the chainsaws in here, and that's the same one we used to roll up the electric fence. So I really got to thinking, I'm gonna fix myself up so I can have all these fencing tools in here. Because nobody offered any kind of container or box or anything, so I thought, well, how do you strap anything on here? So if we put a fencing, let's say the stretcher on here, the post pounder, by the time we get where we're going, we might lose it. Otherwise, we're trying to drive it one hand, holding everything with the other. So I got to really planning and thinking, and I somehow get real creative about how this thing attaches on here, because we might have to take it off to do some fixing on this machine. So I made these blocks. Now in here, I got angle iron in all the corners, and all with the carriage bolts. And then what actually holds it on is there's two holes that go down through the frame. So really the box is not going to let go from the frame. The key is that the frame don't let go from the four-wheeler, because there's, you know, eventually from all the vibration and some of the weight of the tools in there. But so when this shuts, and then I got like a lip here, so when this shuts, you know, if this happens to be out in the rain, your tools don't get wet. So now if your tools get wet and they're inside the container like this, they'll rust up. You know how that can go. They just get, so then I had any bungee cords, you know, you can see how they get cracked up, so they got to get replaced. But I'll just stick it through that hole. I'll pinch it tight here, then we hook it to the frame here. So this is able to insert in there. Now that's not getting away on us. And then it's bolted down to the frame, and then we have our lid. Whatever's in here is not falling out, and it gets to be a mixed up mess in there because of all the bouncing around. And then I put in these eyelets here. These kind of afterthoughts, and then you know, you get a shorter bungee, and I could put like a bucket in here that would hold it in. It's a way to tie stuff down, and it never fails. It just seems like you're always driving around all summer in the pastures. Everything ends up getting mixed with other stuff, but it's still in there. It never gets lost. So right now, my old four-wheeler is getting repaired, but anyway, when I get it back, I miss this one. I actually like this box better than the other one.
As you can see, having a toolbox on the four-wheeler is something we really value here. That's kind of like our service truck or our main rig for a farm like this and the terrain we have. You know, we can't really get anywhere with a, you know, like a pickup or even a two-wheel drive tractor. It's really nice having four-wheelers stocked with tools and everything we need.
Yeah, and then when we were buying this, those side-by-sides weren't really that available. They weren't that popular yet. They were still kind of, and those things too, like we got places in the woods where it's so steep or it's so narrow to get through. There's so many places. Those are almost like a small pickup in a way, like a little Jeep type thing. So they're still good. It's just
it's still nicer to have the maneuverability and the capability of a four-wheeler.
So if we'd have like mechanical problems out in the field, like something, I don't know, let's say a wheel fell off something, okay, we can't move it. We can throw all our jack tools and our wrench tools or everything we need in here, even the air tank to run the, like the new bolts or something. We can throw everything in here and run out there and then, yeah, throw all back in here and then, reorganize it later that night. But yeah, it's just a get lost. Like I said, there's nothing worse. And when we were looking at these, I'd always, be asking them guys, is there a better way we can, because I mean, it's a big machine, it's strong, it can get anywhere, but if it only takes you there and you can't take any equipment along, it doesn't really, it kind of almost senseless.
Yeah, so that's it for our fencing toolbox / tool review video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave comments down below about if you've ever built or purchased a box like this for a four-wheeler. We'd be interested to hear about it, along with any of your interesting fencing tools that you might know about that we don't.
Or other attachments or things that you can
that you might think are
modify
useful
onto these type of machines.
Yeah.
Those are kind of cool.
But thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.